Alright, so Jason here for CounterSlam, and I'm doing a model review. Right now I'm doing Father Lucant. I've put him together immediately. He was rather difficult for me personally to put together, and while measuring some distances on the table a couple weeks ago, the tape measure did bump into him, and he's a rather spindly. He did fall apart. I'm not that good at pinning, but he is a very beautiful model, and I really like the detail with especially Iron Mother and Father Lucant that they've been putting into the models. I think that first initial impressions, he's one of our stronger casters. I know the forums have said that. And he can turn your army into a brick like no other. Coming from trolls, playing warders, and playing a faction that loves to brick with reciprocators and his feet, you can definitely get up to warder level, if not more, level of annoyances. You definitely want to bring an inverter with him for watcher shenanigans. But let me get into base stats and what his field marshal is and everything like that. So he's base 14-17. He's a 7 focus caster, and his field marshal is shield guard. So you can see that if he camps focus and with his feet, he's going to want to bring a corollary because he's a toolbox caster with a spell list. So he's always going to have, I know you definitely don't want to get the corollary shot up, but you know, priority as a caster, so you should always have the corollary close by for an emergency shield guard if you're, someone's trying to range assassinate you. He has Pathfinder, just like a lot of the casters with 4 legs, and he is steady, so he can't be knocked down. So he can be really difficult to assassinate. His weapon has stall on it, and it's a base 17 with reach. He's repairable, and he's got 21 boxes. He does have the construct rule, so you can repair him. So he is a very tough nut to crack. His feat, we'll go over that first before I get to the spell list. His feat gives +4 arm to all friendly models within his control area, so that's 14 base, and if you're taking the corollary, 16-inch bubble, which should get your whole army. Even though he is a tough nut to crack, he can go down, and he does, like I said, like to spend his focus, so I would still suggest keeping him back. Besides the +4 arm for a turn, when a friendly faction model does a repair check, it automatically succeeds. Now, I've never had the case to where I've had to use that, but I'm sure it can come in handy. I don't know, I feel like that was sort of tacked on at the end. His spell list is deceleration, so +2 defense and arm against ranged attacks, so he's really difficult to range assassinate. Combine that with the the oodles of armor and the field marshal with the shield guard. Dissolution bolt, which is only a range 8 low cost spell. It's power 12, but models hit, you take away their ability to arc spells. I've never used that either. Positive charge, which is awesome. It states that a friendly faction warjack gains +2 melee attack and melee damage rolls, and friendly models within 3 inches gain +2 on melee attack and melee damage rolls. So in a pinch, I've done I've taken galvanizers in my list, or even a corollary. You can throw a positive charge on a corollary, run the corollary up next to, near your charge target, and that turns Father Lucant into a Mat 8, a POW 19 with reach Pathfinder on the charge. So he can turn himself to a melee monster, and in my opinion, with positive charge. Throw that on the inverter or any other warjack, and you're turning that section of your army into quite a capable force. In Convergence, see, there's not a lot of boosting your melee, or boosting your damage, I should say. Really, there's a flat coming from trolls. They have numerous ways to buff your strength and increase your damage output, but that's really not the case in Convergence. So I really like positive charge just for that fact, and it's not an upkeep spell either, so you can you don't have to worry about throwing on a jack that has Watcher on it or something like that and it going away. After positive charge is Purification. I'm sure everybody knows that, but that's a 3 costs spell in his control. So again, the corollary, there's some synergy there with increasing the radius, to which Purification catches continuous effects, animi, and upkeep spells immediately expire. And keep in mind that also means that if you cast it after you've cast Watcher, which is an upkeep spell, it's going to get rid of that too. So everything goes away, well, not just enemy. So be careful about how you time when you want to cast that. And then the last one is Watcher, and that states it's a self-cast, 3 cast upkeep spell. And that states that when an enemy advances within 6 inches of this model, this being the camp, of course, a warjack in this model's battle group, so he can choose any warjack in his battle group. I don't know why you wouldn't choose the inverter, but in a pinch, hey, you might want to choose something else. After he chooses that warjack, it can immediately advance, make a full advance, and has boosted melee attack and damage rolls. So I always have an inverter parked nearby, and if they don't deal with the inverter first and you keep the auto knockdown weapon available, remember you can only use it once per round, then it makes it very difficult to melee assassinate him out of nowhere, provided that, like I said, the inverter's still around. They have to deal with that first. I've caught a couple people by surprise, and it's really made their lives a pain, which I find that enjoyable. So as you can see, with Purification, 3 cost spell, Watchers, 3 cast spell, Deceleration's a 3 cast spell. Being 7 focus, you want to take the corollary because he does want to sit back and help his army out. For that fact, even though he does have the armor on the feet turn and 21 boxes, I don't like to get him that close to the fray. As a last resort, with the positive charge, boosting his personal attack and damage. So I've had a lot of fun. I find that he bricks really well, and he poses a lot of problems for my opponents. So I definitely recommend him. I think he's going to pair well. I plan to pair him with either Axis or the Iron Mother. Iron Mother shreds infantry like no other, and I think that Father can fuel. He wants an inverter, maybe 2. So it's definitely, I think the Lucant can crack armor really well, and Mother cracks, can shred infantry like nobody I've ever seen before on a table. So I see some synergy there as far as steamroller tournaments, planning a dual list scenario. Problem with that, the only potential problem I see with that is since both Mother and Father like to hang back on the back lines, getting somebody up there to control zone, contest or dominate zones. Neither one of them want to do that because they're both on larger bases, and they tend to want to spend a lot of their focus, and that leaves them very susceptible to be assassinated. So, hope this has been helpful. I think he's a blast to play. I think he's very strong, if not the strongest caster in the faction. And I definitely suggest picking him up and playing him. Now, the putting together part might not be so fun, but give him a try. You won't be disappointed if you're a Convergence player. Thanks.